So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit more informational, kind of like some of the other ones that I've done. There's also going to be some personal, my own experiences thrown in there. But I wanted to kind of give a little bit of, not like deep dive, but just a little bit of, I just wanted to cover the topic of substance abuse and bipolar disorder. So today's episode is all about exploring the intersection of bipolar disorder and substance abuse. Some of this might sound kind of scripted because it kind of is. I took a lot of different information from a lot of different resources and just kind of tried to mash it all together into the best way that I could, that didn't seem overbearing or overwhelming or like just droning on with too much fucking information. Like, nobody wants to hear all that shit, and you can do your own research. So today we're going to dive into the complex relationship between these two issues and discuss strategies for breaking the cycle of addiction within the bipolar community. So let's explore, just to start off, let's explore the connection between bipolar disorder and substance abuse. Research shows that individuals with bipolar disorder are at a higher risk of developing substance abuse disorders compared to the general population. I can attest to this because I am a recovering alcoholic. This correlation can be attributed to various factors, including attempts to self-medicate, right here, self-medicate symptoms, impulsivity due to during manic episodes, which I'm also very guilty of, and mood dysregulation. It's crucial to understand that these dynamics to understand these dynamics to address the root causes of addiction in individuals with bipolar disorder. So basically, there's more to it than just having bipolar disorder. Like, just because you have bipolar disorder doesn't mean that you're going to have a substance abuse issue. It just means that you're a little bit more susceptible to it. That also goes with if you have like ADHD or any kind of impulse control mental issue, mental disorder. Those impulse controls generally, like substance abuse, is pretty interlinked with that. Generally, the risks and consequences of substance abuse in the context of bipolar disorder cannot be overstated. Using drugs or alcohol can disrupt mood stability, interfere with the effectiveness of medication, and worsen overall health outcomes. Additionally, substance abuse can exacerbate symptoms of bipolar disorder, leading to increased episodes of mania or depression and furthering complicating treatment efforts. So for me, before I found out that I was diagnosed, I knew something was wrong with me. I wasn't diagnosed, so I didn't know exactly what it was. I just knew that I wasn't the same as everybody else. And I self-medicated. There's no doubt in my mind about it that's exactly what was going on for the longest. Sorry, this necklace is pissing me off. The longest period of time, that's what I was doing. And I honestly, I knew that that's what I was doing. I knew in my head that that's exactly what I was doing. I was self-medicating. I was trying to fill a void that I couldn't fill with anything else. And I don't know, it just, and so and it wasn't just trying to mask symptoms. So there was a lot of, and that's kind of what's going to come up here in a minute, is that it's not just having bipolar disorder. There's environmental factors that go into it. I had some trauma whenever I was a small child, like abandonment issues that led to abandonment issues, insecurities and other things. And I think I was trying to mask my pain of that, but my bipolar exacerbated that. It made it worse, and they just fed each other. I think if that makes sense. So there is hope for breaking the cycle of addiction. Integrated treatment approaches that address both mental health and substance abuse disorders are key to recovery. Therapy, medication management, support groups, and lifestyle changes can all play a critical role in supporting individuals with bipolar disorder in their journey towards sobriety and stability. So I will say that I am 3.5 years sober. I am a recovering alcoholic. I mean, I used other intravenous drugs as well, but I mean, nothing. I never did heroin or opiates really. I mean, alcohol was really my thing, but I did do some, like, some other drugs. Um, Very recreational. Like, I really didn't. Alcohol was really my thing more than anything else. Um, and for the longest time, that was my medication. And once I became diagnosed with bipolar disorder, I wasn't seeing a doctor regularly, and because of that, I wasn't like I had been prescribed Prozac, which didn't do shit for me, and I wasn't going to a doctor, so I was medicating myself with alcohol, which for me would quite often throw me, like, I would cycle rapidly because I would go, like, the alcohol itself would make me manic. Like, I don't know why, but alcohol gives me a ton of energy and makes me super manic, like, and very impulsive. And whenever I come down off of it, whenever, like, once the drunk is gone, and the fun is gone, I get real depressed and, like, I suicidal sometimes. So I have to be. That's, not the reason I quit drinking, but it's a factor in why I stopped drinking, because I mean I just couldn't live like that anymore. Um, I did go to rehab for 30 days. It helped. It helped a lot. In the fact that it helped me realize that I need help, that I can't do what I've been doing or, like, I can't try to stay sober on my own. Um, and I don't want this entire episode to be strictly about, like, sobriety, which I feel like it's kind of turning out to be that way. But I my goal here is to make people, like, to let you understand that, like, yes, there is a correlation between the two. Like, there's tons of studies that show that, that they do go kind of hand in hand most of the time, but it's not true for everybody. And there are things that can make it worse, or that can make it, like, for me, I have ADHD, which is, also an impulse control issue. So if you have those impulse control issues, you're already at a very if you have, family history of drug abuse or alcoholism, you're already predisposed. You add bipolar into that, and you could be looking at a very dangerous situation. I think it's funny to watch, like, that show Shameless, and that guy, I can't remember his name, it's on the tip of my tongue, but anyway, he, in his bipolar, it seemed to me, I can't remember exactly which one he had, but it seemed to me that he had bipolar 1, which is what I have, so his cycles are a little bit more intense. Um, but the way they portrayed him on there, I don't, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe somebody else agrees with it, or disagrees with me, but I didn't feel like that was a very accurate portrayal of bipolar disorder. Because, I mean, in some cases, in some ways it was, but, like, they pushed it to an extreme that I think put a stigma on people with bipolar disorder, and that kind of pisses me off a little bit, because, like, we always get portrayed in some, like, gnarly light, and although he didn't have a substance abuse issue, he did have, like, I think at one point he had a God complex, basically, like, he started a cult. I mean, those are you don't necessarily have to be addicted to drugs or alcohol to have a problem. You can be addicted to food, you can be addicted to gambling, you can be addicted to sex, you can be addicted to all kind of different things. And so this isn't necessarily an episode about, like, being sober. It's more about being released from the addiction that is, crippling you. That's more what this is about. So I mean, there's ways there is help and there is hope, but you have to want it for yourself. I don't know. I feel like this episode took a long, different route than I wanted it to. I mean, I hope it's okay. I hope it's, it turns out okay. I'm not gonna judge it too much. I'm just gonna let it roll. But the point of this whole thing was to let you know that if you have an addiction and you have bipolar disorder, you can make it out of that. There is hope. You can live a better life than you're living right now. You just have to want it. Which is kind of like the whole point of my little motto or whatever that I say at the end of every show. You don't have to sit in the dark alone. You don't, but you have to want to get out of the dark. If you're stuck in the dark and you don't want to get out of it, then you're never going to. But if you're stuck in the dark and you want to get out, you can get out. I often find myself stuck in the dark, but I know now that in order to get out of the dark, I need help. And so I reach out. It's not easy for me to do, especially for me, because I'm not a touchy-feely, emotional kind of person, or at least not outwardly. And so I know that I have to ask for help, or it could get really, really bad for me. So I don't think this episode ended up being as informational as I really thought it was going to be, or as I wanted it to be. And I somewhat kind of feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but the main message of this episode is that there is hope. You can get out of that. You can get out of the dark. So with that, I'm going to get out of here and go work on homework and shit that I need to get done for the week. But just remember that there is hope, and you don't have to sit in the dark alone.